Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the GPU Audio Innovation Lounge podcast. Is that what we ended up calling this thing? Innovation Lounge?
Yes, we did.
We did. Okay, that's great. So welcome back to the Innovation Lounge podcast with GPU Audio, where we basically get a chance to sit down and have a casual chat with some of the leaders in tech and audio and music. And things are just progressing like crazy. If anybody here has been paying attention to what's going on at NAMM, I'm getting posts every day on LinkedIn. Yes, I'm a LinkedIn nerd. Sorry, guys. You know, I'm a little bit of a Facebook boomer still too, but mostly LinkedIn these days. But my LinkedIn is just blowing up with really interesting announcements. I mean, I'm seeing stuff from Sound Particles talking about virtual instruments. I'm seeing stuff from Splice. Hint, hint, they're going to be at the Innovation Lounge, which is the room that GPU Audio designed at the show. And there's just so much going on. So I would encourage you guys, first of all, get on your LinkedIn. Go check out the hashtag Innovation Lounge. You'll see some posts about what's going on there, but also generally just support NAMM, because I think NAMM in the past has been a show where there's just been all this crazy stuff about musical instruments and not that much about tech, frankly. But this year is different. This year is really different. It seems like there's a lot more going on, not just with us, and what we're doing in the lounge, but with everything else happening. And on that subject, every now and then we get a chance to meet somebody who is a true mover and shaker, in this space. Somebody who is not just like, deep in a particular field of tech. In this case, it would be AI, but also someone who has, sort of paved the way for other companies and for other people to like really, really innovate and be part of some of the biggest companies in the world. So today we get the great pleasure of having Ale Koretzky. I will say he's from Splice, but he's a lot bigger than Splice. He has a much bigger background than just Splice. And that's the reason that Splice brought this guy onto the team. And he is just incredible. We've got a chance to get to know each other a little bit over the last couple of months. And we could not resist when he said that he'd be willing to hop on the show with us and talk. So welcome, Ale.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for that introduction.
So something we kind of like to do here is try to get people to get to know who they're talking to. So who are you?
All right. Well, I'm Ale. Alejandro is my first name. Ale is short for that. Back in Argentina, they call me Ale. So people still struggle with the Ale a little bit here. Sometimes Ali or El. So I need to work on that. But so I'm Ale Koretzky. I've been in the U.S. for the past 10 years. I'm originally from Argentina. Came to pursue my master's at USC. And my background is in telecommunications, electronic engineering, and but I'm also a musician. I used to be a graphic designer a million years ago. I believe that's the part of my background that makes me constantly gravitate towards building product. But yeah, I mean, for the past 10 years, I've really gotten into this beautiful intersection, which is audio and machine learning. And back in the days of my master's program, I created my second company, first company in the US. It was called TuneSplit. It was one of the pioneering technologies to perform audio source separation using deep learning in real time. It was a pretty cool thing, and it having a small acquisition. And fast forward a couple of years, I joined Splice, hired by the founders directly to basically build an applied research and innovation unit from the ground up. And that's been the case for the past 5 years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've been building some cool stuff, and pretty happy about what we've accomplished.
So what was it that got you interested in actually running AI and machine learning? By the way, I appreciate that you're a graphic designer, because I started out I wanted to be a character designer for video games, for role-playing video games. So I was drawing up until I think second year of college when I decided to focus on music, so I can relate. And I can see that in the work that you've done, with COSO and everything else. It's like very visual. It's very hands-on. But yeah, what got you into the machine learning and AI side of things to begin with? Was there like a pivotal moment when you realized, in 10 years, this is going to be a thing? Because I feel like 10 years ago, I didn't know too many people that were really into this. It was pretty fringe.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great question. And I think it came from, back to my, 20 years ago when I started my first degree in electronics and telecommunications, there were two disciplines that I fell in love with, statistics and signal processing. And these two disciplines are pretty related. And that was the case for a while, but soon enough, I realized that, first of all, whether you're dealing with audio or text or images or video, we're talking about data and the underlying techniques to kind of like exploit that data to achieve or unlock or solve certain problems, usually come down to the same set of techniques, and where principles from signal processing and probability and statistics really converge in a really elegant way to solve problems, right? So I think there was a moment, I think right before I was, the year before I came to the US, and that's why I focus on, trying to pursue master's degree at this intersection. I could see a paradigm shift in the way problems would be solved. There was a moment where I thought the future is going to be, this thing called machine learning that few people have heard back then. And I think I got into the right thing at the right time, sort of. For those of us who've been in the related areas, it wasn't that hard to see what was coming. But to be completely honest, the pace at which progress has been made, I think it's been surprising all of us, and it keeps surprising us. So I think the problems and the things that we see today, 5 years ago, I would have guessed they would take 10, 15 years. So it's a pretty crazy time. So back to your question, there was a pivotal moment.
What was that like when Splice finally approached you? And the reason I'm asking that is because I think there's, when I talk to most people about Splice, they go, "Oh, the sample library," right? And this is what they think of. I don't think a lot of people realize that Splice has like a deep tech innovation branch, created by you in the company. Like, what was that like when they approached you, and what is it that attracted you to want to actually go and embark on this journey and this mission of building this department? I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah. I think what drew me into finding this an interesting challenge is I love hard problems. I almost gravitate towards problems that are really hard to solve, and it's not just at a technical level, at a business level, at a product level. I really like to work on things that have not been done before. It's almost like I can't help it. I need to be taking risk. So I think that's the first thing that caught my attention. That when the founders approached me, it was a pretty open-ended problem. It was, this company is doing well, but we believe that it can do a lot better if we start building a layer of what we can call an intelligence to power, the future of the company. So I thought from the very beginning this was an interesting opportunity where I would have the chance to basically pave the road and define my own role and build a team. So the room for figuring things out was pretty good. And and I think, going into more specifics, Splice aspiration from day one was to empower music creators everywhere. And I think that, the marketplace of samples is the thing that found product market fit first and became very successful. And it was very disruptive in a good way, with very positive outcomes for the industry. But it was never the end goal. And from what I've learned over the years, the end goal was always, let's allow people to enjoy, experience the joy of making music every day. What can we do to deliver on that mission? So it was clear that, this amazing marketplace of samples was should be the tip of the iceberg eventually. And I think from day one, I had this realization that for Splice to become the company that was intended to become from day one, it had to evolve eventually into a true music creation platform powered by this incredible catalog of human-made samples. So that was always kind of like the North Star, and obviously it's taken us time together, and we're still not there yet. But I think we've made pretty good progress towards that reality.
Definitely, yeah, you definitely have done, man. And it may seem like a bit of a stupid question, but from people on the outside, like, why does Splice need AI? What is Splice doing with AI? Like, how are you implementing it? What's it used for?
I think that's a great question, because up until recently, it's like every business wanted AI. It's like, and no one stopped for a minute to ask, do you even need AI? And I personally think that there's investing in AI when you don't need it is a terrible idea. It's like it's a real trap. So I think that's a pretty relevant question. So why does a company like Splice need AI? I've always thought of these things in terms of like first principles. When you think about the Splice's value proposition up until now, you have this catalog of samples. People search for stuff, and then they need to figure out what they can do with those building blocks. So from day one, my kind of like statement in terms of why AI is because AI technology could do two things: accelerating the process of discovery, namely, as the catalog of samples grows, so does the challenge of finding the right sound. And we know that in audio, that's not trivial, right? You can use, text-based search. That's been pretty successful for, images and for audio to some degree, but there's some limitations there. So first order of business, can we make it easier for users to find the right sound? And the second one was, once users find the right sound or a relevant sound, what can we do to help them make something with that? So I've always framed our AI strategy under these two pillars of accelerating discovery and accelerating creation. Is the AI the only answer to deliver on that? Absolutely not. And we, I'm very pragmatic in that sense. I'm at a point now where if I can avoid solving something with AI, that's where I go. Because AI doesn't come for free. There's many, many challenges when you solve problems that way. But the truth is, AI technology allows us to solve problems that are literally impossible under, a traditional software, if you can call it that way, or deterministic approach to software. And in the case of Splice, I think it wasn't that hard of a case to be made of why AI technology could benefit Splice. And we started proving that with, Similar Sounds that was released 3 years ago, like really powerful state-of-the-art similarity search for sound. It's something that I, keep, repeating myself these days a lot, is this idea of multimodality. We are moving into a new paradigm of interfaces and interaction, where now the user can manifest their intent in multiple modalities. So where before, let's say Similar Sounds as an example, the only way for people to find the right sound was just searching, articulating the sound in their head using words. With Similar Sounds, for the first time, you can have a reference sound that you found interesting and ask the AI system, give me more like this. And that really transformed the way people find sounds on Splice. But that's one example of one new modality to basically interact with the system. There's many, many more. And when you move into something like Koso was the result of a strategy that is still under this umbrella of discovery and creation, but it came from a place where a realization that I had a couple of years ago, where I thought, no matter how hard we try and even deliver under accelerating discovery and accelerating creation, for as long as these two states remain disconnected, users will still experience friction, right? Because we're not like a Shutterstock of bank of images, find a sample and it's ready to be used. You need to make music with that. So kind of like the problem statement at a strategy level was, can we bridge these two states and find an intersection of accelerated discovery and accelerating creation? And I call that strategy discovery-driven creation, which you can also define it as creation-driven discovery. The idea that a combination of tech and interaction design and the right interface could enable users to seamlessly move between these two states. And when someone asks me what COSO is, very holistically, it's this new paradigm of discovery-driven creation or creation-driven discovery. So it's at the core, COSO is discovery technology, but it allows you to get into creation mode or flow almost instantly, powered by discovery technology. So I think, this bet that we made a while back around, AI as a layer of intelligence that can create glue between the states of discovery and creation has proven, the right North Star. And that's, what we're heavily invested in. And in the next few months, you're going to see some really cool stuff coming up. And we believe we're still scratching the surface in terms of what's possible with AI.
We've talked about that so much with other people, not in interviews, but just, in business talks, B2B, because GPU audio is it's an infrastructural layer company, right? It's a deep tech company that's interacting with audio in this way. So when we've talked with other people, it's like the number one problem that people are trying to solve around the world in every company is just that. They're trying to solve this issue of, there's too much, you call it friction, I call it BS, like all the stuff that like is not creative, like the non-creative stuff. In the vernacular, it's just like all the garbage that you have to deal with, that you have to sift through, whether that's samples or whether it's processes, right? I mean, for me, it's processes. It's like, why do I have to go through so many click and drag, import, export, all of these other processes just to kind of get a creative flow moving? And then if something isn't working right, I would have to go back and find something else and replace it, and then kind of go back to square one in a lot of ways. And I feel like COSO it's such an elegant way of solving this problem. You know what I mean? Getting people straight to creation. Now, a little follow-up question on it though, like you've got the straight to creation thing, sort of like you have a roadmap for that for people. What about straight to results, like straight to, distribution, like getting that music, you're in the creative flow, you're interacting with COSO, you immediately get down and create something, but then immediately having a final result. Like, is that something that's also on your roadmap? Are you guys investigating ways to kind of get people through the process of producing a track all the way to delivery? And does that have anything to do with any of the secrets that you'll be revealing at NAMM, or like, can we look forward to cool stuff that you'll be getting into?
Sure. We obviously talk a lot about creation and what are the we talk a lot about what are the entry and exit points in a flow, and what is the role of each surface or experience in delivering that end-to-end experience. The first thing to say is that it's a pretty hard problem, because the truth is there's no golden workflow. There's no one right way to make music, right? So we try to stay away from being too prescriptive about, this is how you make music now, but rather the way I think about it, and going back to what you said, which is so true, there's a lot of work that is not really creative work. There's a lot of boilerplate stuff that we do on a daily basis. And I describe it as those 0 to 1 moments. And that's kind of like the way I think about what something like COSO does. COSO doesn't make music for you, and it doesn't promise to eventually allow you to create a full song, with a press of a button. Also, there's implications on that, right? We want to make sure that the human creator remains at the center. But when you think about what something like Koso does, it solves one version of that 0 to 1 moment, right? So we solve a very fundamental problem of it, which is what makes different sound sources sound good together. It's a very simple, value proposition. And in that case, like you said, it solves a type of task that is not necessarily creative. Yeah, you can browse through, I don't know, a sample library for 2 hours, see what, maybe based on key matching, what goes well, what with. But yeah. So back to the question, I believe there's an opportunity to solve different 0 to 1 moments, and going back to what you mentioned, the processes thing, there's going to be a 0 to 1 moment for what a good mix sounds like, what a good master sounds like, and 0 to 1 moments for, I don't know, all the way to distribution. At Splice, we're not trying to cover the end-to-end from idea to distribution at this point. We are trying to solve more of these 0 to 1 moments. And the way we're approaching this for now is, again, we're not trying to be the place where all music making happens, but rather be very intentional about what the entry exit points are. And by that, I mean, when you go to the Koso app today, once you come up with something that's promising, where you're like, oh, I can work with this, I can make a song out of this, with the press of a button, it creates an Ableton Live session that you can open and get ready for creation. What can we do beyond that? We've been discussing a bunch of things. You can think about going from the 8-bar musical idea that Koso gives you. What if we come up with templates for song structure, or like some automation? And by the way, these are not things that we're building. It's ideas that I'm sharing with you all that are in the conversation. So yeah, I think there's a lot of work to be done in solving these non-creative 0 to 1 moments that are part of the creative pipeline, and where that can be solved or delivered by a combination of tools, some of which Splice is building, and some of which have been there for a while. There's a big topic out there of, is the end of the DAW era? I don't think so. I think the DAW is here to stay, and it's going to continue appealing to, a certain type of creator. There's going to be new types of interfaces that maybe try to compete with the DAW, but maybe appeal for other types of markets, maybe more beginners. But, each surface will have its role. And to wrap up this answer, I think at this point, not just for Splice, but anyone out there, betting on coming up with one end-to-end solution that's going to solve all the problems in music making and distribution is a pretty risky bet.
Chris has a question, but I just, one little point that I think was really salient that you made is, keeping the human at the center of the creative process. I love that so much. And I'm so glad that you guys are thinking about that, because, there's a lot of friction in that in the conversation around AI and stuff. And, there was a music business worldwide article that dropped yesterday, I think, where they, somebody was waxing on about, there's so many new songs and creators. There's so much content coming out on a daily basis that we're running the risk of basically diluting and devaluing, good content. Right. And I think that is definitely a risk, but I feel like the solution that you're talking about, understanding that you're not trying to necessarily get somebody to just kind of like generate a piece of music out of thin air, but you're trying to aid them in the creative process. This is the antidote to that. This is the mindset that is the antidote to that sort of corporatized, bottom line push towards just more content. 5 seconds of content equals fame. I think this is a really great approach to, I guess you would say, providing culture, the music making culture with some firm ground to stand on. I think that's really beautiful. But Chris, you got a question, and then I think we have time for just a couple more, and then.
Yeah, well, maybe if we've only got 10 minutes left, I won't ask the question I was thinking of because it may require quite a lengthy answer. But I would really love to know, Ali, about like how do you feel about using GPUs to process audio? Like how does that what gets conjured up in your mind when you think about that?
Yeah, I think the first thing to say, I think you guys are working on the right problem that's going to have a huge payoff not too long from now. I think, GPUs are what enable this era of AI. That's a pretty big thing, and the reason is, GPUs can do things that CPUs can't, and can do it much faster. So I think with audio, where audio has always been a bit behind compared to other domains like image and video, but those days are coming. And I think there's two aspects to why GPU audio is more relevant than ever, and it's only going to become more relevant. One is AI-based synthesis technology. Huge progress is being made on machine learning-based synthesis. The other day, I was a judge at this first neural audio competition by the audio programmer. Yeah, and it was incredible to see the kind of stuff that people are thinking. And not every AI model needs to run on a GPU, but we're heading there. We're heading towards models that are bigger, more parameters, and capabilities that are just not possible without solid infrastructure like GPUs. And the other direction that we're seeing more and more present is the rise of these web-based collaborative hybrid platforms for music making, where this next generation of music making platforms, besides maybe running on a browser, they will be delivering capabilities that current DAWs do not. And there's a big opportunity to build this infrastructure layers as a hybrid of client server approach, where expensive stuff can be run on the background on the server side using GPUs, combined with more lightweight tasks that can be run on the client side. So my take is like the convergence of those two things, even if they don't fully converge, but those two areas really can benefit from an infrastructure layer that abstracts developers from having to deal with the nuances of working or programming for GPU. I think we're going to see that in the next couple of years. I think that flourish.
Yeah, you read our minds. Frankly, those are definitely two of the biggest areas that I see the growth too. And it's I'll leave it at that. We should talk more about that sometime. On another call, because I think these are high in our sights and actually in our workflow already. Of what we're working on. So yeah, there's definitely saliency to that. Okay, so I'll let Bill wrap us up. I know we're running out of time here. Ale, your time is precious and valuable, and thank you so much for hanging with us. And I know it won't be the last time.
So Ale, NAMM is coming up in just a week, actually 8 days from now. And we're so delighted that Splice is joining us at the Innovation Lounge. What are some things that people can look forward to from the Splice team at NAMM?
Well, I think we're still working on the specifics of what we want to show, but definitely people can expect to see more COSO in action, and maybe the beginning of the next embodiment of the COSO technology. So right now we have this app that has been very well received, but we've been building some additional capabilities and different surfaces that leverage the power of COSO across the full catalog, and people will hopefully get to see a little bit of what's coming. I'm personally pretty excited. We've been playing with it on a daily basis, and it's pretty cool. I think it's gonna really help Splice users, navigate the breadth and depth of this massive catalog in a way that it's unprecedented.
I cannot wait. I love COSO. I have so many of I can't remember what the projects are called, but stacks. I have so many. And one thing I think is interesting about COSO, and correct me if I'm wrong, but each combination, each stack is kind of like a unique creation. And also, I'll say I love the auto naming feature. That's just a small little pain point of coming up with a good name. I have so many projects that are called like a minor thing or whatever. So having that feature just takes some of the work away, which is amazing.
I wish I could share my desktop, like a screen share of my desktop, because all of the tracks that I've created are literally like a finger drag across the keyboard, just starting at a different point because I'm over it. So yeah, I love
Aphex Twin style.
Yeah, pretty much. I sometimes I wonder if that's the approach that he took.
Yeah, but I mean, back to your question, Bill. Yes, pretty much. I mean, we don't actually check if this stack is unique, but just in terms of probabilities, we have this massive catalog, and COSO is matching across keys and BPMs. So like the combinations are literally billions. So just the probability of coming up with the same thing is extremely low, and that's what makes it also very special.
If you ever do come up with the same thing, you have to like find a way to just render the screenshot out and put it in a frame or something, because that would be a once in a lifetime moment, right? So
it would be like I don't know which company, when you find a bug that they compensate you.
Yeah, that's a great point. That would be a great activation. I mean, you probably get like 10 million people signing up just to try to find it.
Find the same stack and get a subscription or something. No promises. I'm going to get in trouble.
Ale, thanks again. This has been a pleasure. It's a great. You're such a great vibe, a great person, and really one of the rare geniuses of our time. I think with like the work that you're doing over there. And you can shake your head all you want, but I got my opinions. So I love what you guys are doing, and thanks again. Can't wait to see you next week at NAMM. And everybody who's listening, this is coming out before, and we're going to use it to help promote Splice's presence at the Innovation Lounge. So please come and hang out and meet Ale and the rest of the team.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, and we'll see you at NAMM.